So yeah, what we're going to do now is go through a demo of the Tickets app, how to set it up, how to enable your event for check-in availability, as well as a demo of some of the different features of the Ticket app, and also go through an example of using it for a point of sale configuration. So let's go ahead and get started with it. So I've got a lot of slides, but I'm going to try to go through them pretty quick. This will be available in our YouTube video once we post that, so you'll be able to take that presentation and go through all the details in the slides that I may gloss over due to time constraints. So again, this will be recorded. We'll provide the presentation to you. So when we set up a ticket event, this is very similar to the way that it works for races. If you're familiar with the race day check-in app, you do have to enable a check-in period for your ticket event. So very similar, you go into your event dashboard, search for check-in, or go to event and then check-in, and then you have to tap the mobile app area here and then enable the check-in app that way. So what you'll do is you'll come down to the right here and see there's a section to enable the ticket check-in app and set these dates. And what this will do is it will say, during this time frame, my event will be available to load in the Tickets app. So what it's going to do is make it available in the Tickets app. It's not going to control whether or not things can be checked in. It's just going to make it available or not available when you're searching for it. So you do have to set a password. You can use the password hint on the right here to give yourself an idea of what your password was. A lot of times we just end up putting the password in there, but you can just use a hint if you'd like to. And then if you don't already have the event or the app loaded on your mobile device that you're going to try this out on, we do give you links and a QR code to download the apps on either of the app stores that we have available on. So I'm going to go ahead and walk through this on my end as we are doing it. So I've got my track meet testing event here. I'm going to go to event check-in, mobile app, and I'm going to say it's available the first of the year until 2030. And let's do testing 1, 2, 3. Make sure I got it right. Okay, so now my event should be available in the Tickets app. Next, the other step you could do right now is to set up a Square. So if you are using or planning on using a Square to collect on-site sales, you do have to first set up a Square account and you link it to your TicketSignup event on the dashboard under Financial Square. So if you haven't set up a Square account, it's pretty easy to do so. It took me like 5 minutes, if that. We use these little Square contactless readers that work fantastic. And to use them, you have to set up an account. So you can use your existing Square account, log into it. But basically, come into here. If you have already enabled Square on another event of yours, it will show a business name here on the right. Otherwise, you can add a new one. It'll say something like set up a Square authorization if you haven't already done so on your login. And if you are setting up a new Square authorization, it will log you into your Square account in the browser here, and then you will see the linked account appear in the event dashboard, which you can select. So most importantly, if you are going to do it, make sure you go to the Financial Square page, enable Square integration. That's a little toggle at the top, and then you have to select what business it's called in Square terms. I think you're going to use for this one. So in my case, look for Square. I'm going to enable Square integration for this event, and don't dox me. I'm going to select my business here, and this event will now be available for Square. All right. Okay, so next you have to go ahead and install the app if you haven't already. You can search for it on the Android and iOS, on Android or iOS via the Google Play Store or the Apple App Store. Like we showed before, you can scan the QR codes on the setup page in the event dashboard, or you can just search in the pages in order to find them that way. Just search like RunSignup tickets or TicketSignup tickets, and they'll pop up. Now, just a note here, it is possible to install the app onto 2 laptop type devices. So if you have an M1 or an M2 Mac, you can install it via the Mac store. Or if you have a Chromebook that is able to install Android applications, you can use it on that Chromebook as well, just by installing it via the Google Play Store as you would normally any other Android app on that Chromebook. So if you prefer that kind of keyboard and mouse usage, you are able to do that on those 2 kinds of devices. Specifically, has to have, if it's a Mac, has to have an M1 or an M2 processor. Those are the ones that can run iOS applications. So I've already got the app set up on my phone. I have it running right here, but we'll go through that in a few. So some app first steps. As you are getting started learning how to use the app, just wanted to give you a quick overview of all the different things that you can do. So it'll show first off any events that you have loaded at the top here. When you first launch it, you won't have any events loaded, and then it'll show all events beneath that. So when you're searching on your device, it'll filter through all of the local events you have already loaded on your device and any events that are out on TicketSignup that have not been imported to your device yet. There's a little settings up here, a little gear icon, and that will allow you to define device level settings, and those will override any settings from the event. So there's a subset of settings in here that will override anything coming from the event setup. So in this area, you can change the device name. I usually just name it after like, okay, Matt's iPhone or Matt's Android or whatever. You can get support. You can delete the local database, which is really only needed if you are told to do so by a support person. And then these My Device settings here at the bottom, these are used to control a few different things that we think are more device specific. So you may have one device out of your suite of devices that you want to work a certain way or not work a certain way. And so you can use these device level settings to override any and all settings that have come in via configurations. So the check-in scan audio and vibration basically is give you feedback when you do a check-in scan. You look up someone by their confirmation code QR. It'll beep or vibrate on your phone. You can enable or disable that, whatever you prefer. This use only front camera. This is typically used if you are using a laptop experience and you want like on a Chromebook where you don't have a rear-facing camera. You can say, I only want to use the front-facing camera. So if you're using a laptop device to scan QR codes, you probably want to enable this. Otherwise, it's going to be a black screen whenever you try to scan something by default. You can flip which camera you use, but for laptop devices, it's kind of annoying. So we recommend enabling this for any laptop devices that you are using in your suite of devices. And a few other things here. You can customize the check-in experience for this specific device, showing the checked-in tickets or not. If you are using one of the brother printers that we work with, you can automatically print after doing a purchase. These 2 settings below here are pretty important to describe. This exact match lookup, basically, if you are typing in a search term when you are searching for a ticket by email or name or whatever, it'll try to automatically load if it finds an exact match. Sometimes that can cause problems if you started typing in, let's say there's a Matt with 2 T's and a Matt with 1 T, and I type in M-A-T very slowly, it will see there's M-A-T in there and it'll automatically load them because this is set to fast. If you don't like that, you can change it to slow, or you can disable it entirely, and it will never automatically bring up a ticket purchase if it finds an exact match. So these are just, as you're using device, you may find you prefer a different way of the app working. Here you can change this. So the lookup result is more commonly found to be used in the configuration, and we'll go into that a little bit later. But basically, it changes and customizes what happens if I tap a ticket or a ticket purchase in the app. Does it bring me to view the details about the ticket, or does it change me to go to the store fulfillment page for any store items on this ticket? So this will be very important when we get to the part about customizing configurations. for different uses. So we're going to do one that's like it's like a t-shirt pickup station, and we don't care about the ticket information. That all we care about is I scan a QR for a ticket, and it shows me, it brings me right to the screen where I can update how many t-shirts are picking up right now. So I'll show you some more things. Again, as you use the event, the first thing you're going to want to do is load the event that you created or are going to test or set up. You do have to enter in the password as you do so. Again, if you don't see the event, make sure you have it set up correctly so that the date ranges are correct and your password is all set there as well. So let's go ahead and just go through this. So I have my, I have my track meet testing, and I'm gonna find my event here. That's my track meet testing. And I made it testing 1, 2, 3. And now I am gonna allow my device to make purchases because I do plan on showing that as well. And it looks like I've got some test purchases already showing in here and some tickets as well. So you'll see that in the list here, I have, again, purchases and tickets. Like Allison mentioned, purchases are a grouping of tickets. So this first one here, Elizabeth, has 3 tickets that she purchased. And if you scroll down, you would see just the tickets, and it'll say Elizabeth purchased one for Friday, one for Saturday, and one for Sunday. So when I search for Elizabeth, it will display any purchases that have Elizabeth on it. So Jane Doe maybe purchased one for Elizabeth as well, and so on and so forth. All right. Next. Yep, I just showed you this, where we get the password. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about the different features of the app. So it's fairly similar to the Race Day check-in app if you've used that before, but there are some slight tweaks. There are these different modes in particular that are different. By default, you are in the check-in mode. This allows you to look up and check in tickets with this device. You can also go into purchase mode, which is used to perform on-site sales using this device. And in the More tab, that allows you to do a few other actions and also allows you to enter into the event settings area. So it's kind of like the hamburger menu in Race Day Check-in, where you can access presets and configurations and make changes and go back to the events and so on and so forth. So let's take a further look at that More option. So when you're enter into the More option on your event, you'll see event settings, event stats, queued edits, and a few other things. So event settings allow you to customize or to set up presets and configurations and to customize this check-in purchase experience for this device and potentially other devices. So I'll go into detail on presets and configurations, but effectively they allow you to customize the usage experience for whoever is using this device. Event stats show a breakdown of the number of tickets that have been checked in, broken down by ticket group. Queued edits are really important. They show a list of any pending changes made by this device that have not yet been pushed to TicketSignup. So every 30 seconds, we push any changes that occur on the app to TicketSignup. So if something is not syncing properly, you could look at this queued edits area and it will tell you if there's an issue. Not sure exactly what it could be, but it may be something blocking the sync, might be something invalid. But if a support person ever asks you to check your queued edits, this is where you'd want to go, More and then queued edits. Lock event allows you to lock this device down with a passcode. So you can make a passcode so that users cannot access certain settings. So you may have a fleet of devices that you're going to give to volunteers, and you want to make sure that they don't edit the preset to allow them to see more information than they're supposed to. You could lock it down so they cannot access the presets and configurations area unless they know the actual passcode. Force sync is used only if you had changes in the event structure, which you need to need to have the app pull down forcibly. So for instance, let's say I set up this app prior to Allison enabling the store items. We wouldn't know that store items were out there yet because the store hadn't even been set up at the time we imported the race. So force sync is really only necessary to be used if some kind of structural change happens to the event on TicketSignup and you need to forcibly apply that. It's not going to make the tickets show up. That all happens automatically. Get support does what it says in the tin. If you need assistance with anything, use the get support area to reach out to our help desk and they'll be able to help you out real quick. And then back to events. This is how you get back to that main screen, the list of events that you have available to you. Okay, so if you go into the event settings, this is where you can customize that experience. You can add presets, configurations, and have device level setting overrides. So there's a variety of different things that you can do with ticket presets, configurations, and device level settings. And I'll go through that in a few. And then also you can view and change the configuration that is currently being used for this app. So configurations essentially are modes that can be built by users for all sorts of purposes. So typically different stations will have their own configuration set up in advance of the event that is customized to fit that station's needs. So for example, you might have a station that only cares about checking in the main ticket at the gate. So the purchase tab is disabled, store purchases are not shown at all, and store fulfillment is disabled. Another station might only care about store purchase fulfillment. So they would change the lookup results so that when they tap a ticket, it goes right to the store fulfillment screen instead of the purchase view. And it disables the purchase tab as well. And then you might have one for that's just worried about doing POS style. They're just selling tickets on site. They're going to disable the check-in tab and they're just going to have the purchase tab available. So this is why configurations are so powerful. It allows you to customize the experience for your particular event for each and every single device that you have out there. So you can have a configuration that's custom built for your point of sale, and then all of your point of sale devices just simply have to load that configuration and they're off and running. So instead of going through and customizing the settings for each and every single device, you set up a configuration that's going to work for a set of your devices, and they just load that configuration. So it's really powerful. These configurations can be uploaded to the cloud, and then whenever anyone opens the event on their app for the first time, they load it down, it will present to them a list and says, hey, this event has some configurations available. Would you like to pick one? And it'll give them a list of all the different configurations that are out there for this given event and allows them to pick and choose which one they're going to do right now. They can always go and change it if they are using one device for pre-sale or for tickets sales, the door, but then they're going to flip it and go do store fulfillment later at the t-shirt station. It's really easy for them to go into the settings and just change configurations. Now, ticket presets they're used by configurations to customize how a certain ticket is displayed and what kinds of actions are allowed for that kind of ticket. So ticket presets basically are a way to say every ticket of a given ticket group within a configuration looks a certain way, or allows users to update certain information, or allows users to see certain information. So when you set up a configuration, you have to tell it, okay, here's my list of ticket groups that are available, and which preset am I going to use for each of those different ticket groups. And so if you came in, you would see the event settings area. By default, we just have a default preset, default configuration, and you can add a new preset here if you wanted to add a new one. You can just use the default in your new configuration if you're going to add one as well. The default is just to show the ticket group name and some basic information in the ticket view settings. But you can do other things like allow ticket on check-in. You may find that useful. You may want to make sure that people don't do that. It's kind of up to you. And all sorts of stuff. Now the configurations have a lot more going on, as you can see. Got a whole bunch of different panels in here that you can go through to see what is possible with configuration customization. So what I'm going to do now is going to try to make some different configurations on the fly. that you might want to use. So first, let's do this t-shirt pickup station. So I've got my app right here, and I'm going to go into more. I'm going to go into event settings, and I'm going to add a new configuration. And this is going to be called t-shirt pickup. In the general settings, let's see. What I want to do is, no, I could show just the purchases, but that's okay. What I actually want is probably to come down to the navigation settings. This is the most important part. Down here, there's a lookup result option. And what I want to say is I want to go to fulfillment screen, so that instead of going to the ticket details view, I would go right into the fulfillment area. So before I actually do this, well, I'll show you before how it changes after this actually. So I'm going to set that to go to the fulfillment screen, and then the bottom tabs, because this is only going to be check-in use. I'm not going to purchase anything here. I'm going to go ahead and just allow only check-ins. And store settings, show store purchases. This is fine. I want to show everything, and I can show it on both. That's totally good. Don't need to worry about these. I'll leave the default groups. Don't care about ticket numbers, and everything else should be pretty good. So let's go ahead and just save this configuration, and I will upload it to the cloud. When I do that, it will be available to any other people who load this event. I'm not gonna change, or I'm not gonna select this right now, but I could. So I'm still using the default, and I wanted to show you what it looks like before I show you the customized version of it. So this is a purchase. So Elizabeth has 3 tickets here, and I could come in and I could check them in one by one, or just check them all in right now if I wanted to. So let's say I want to check in all here. Okay, so that's done, pretty easy, nice and straightforward. Now, if I were to be using the t-shirt pickup configuration, things will look a bit different. So I could tap into here and see, well, this one doesn't have any store items, so I'd have to find one that has some store items on it. But I maybe we'll just look on, there we go. So this one has a t-shirt that was a medium blue. So I could say that I do want to fulfill this one and save it. So that means that she picked it up. I've given it to her. So her medium blue t-shirt I have fulfilled. So this is how I would use it for a t-shirt station. So now let's go in and add another one, and we're going to set up my check-in station. So the check-in works pretty good as is, but I do want to make a slight change, and that is, let's see here. So what I want to do is, I want to change the default preset, because I want to be able to allow this user to uncheck in if they make a mistake. So in order to do that, I'm going to save this as is, and then I'm going to update I'm going to add a new preset and replace it on this configuration. Because on the preset, I can say that I want to allow uncheck-ins. So I'm going to say this is a preset that allows uncheck-ins. I'll upload that preset. I'm not going to create a new configuration for it. It's telling me, hey, this preset isn't used anywhere. Be careful. But I know I'm gonna assign it. So now in my check-in station, I'm gonna go into my ticket groups. I'm gonna say allow uncheck-ins for all these. And I will also make sure that worked. Oops. Allow uncheck-ins. Allow uncheck-ins. Yeah, that looks good. There we go. So now I'm going to go back, and I'm able to find anyone who's checked in and uncheck them in. So if I may want to do that. So while I'm on this check-in, I want to show just a quick thing here. So this is the QR code that a user would receive when they purchase a ticket. So I'm going to show you in the app how I go about actually scanning to look someone up if they brought their confirmation on their phone or on a printout. So I'm going to allow tickets to take photos while using the app. And it's going to allow me to scan here, and it's going to bring me, to the store fulfillment page. So I can go ahead and fulfill all, and we are good to go. So that's how I can use the barcode scanner with the Tickets app. So the last one I want to show is how to set up a point of sale station. So let me go back to my device here. Add a new configuration just called POS. Now there's a few things I can do here. Again, bottom tabs, I'm going to say only allow purchase. I'm going to leave the lookup result. That's fine. I'm not even going to worry about the lookup stuff. The other thing I want to do is I could do auto print after purchase. If I am using a label printer, it can right away print out a label right after I do a purchase. I'll enable that. And I'll select it. And so now you see at the bottom, check-in is not available and only purchases. So now we get into the process of setting up Square for my device or not. You can also come in and say, I'm gonna do manual payments. You don't have to use Square, but it makes things a whole lot easier if you do. So let me actually get out of this, and I'm gonna show one other thing here. So I want to find a multi check-in. So I'm going to switch my configuration to check-in station, and I want to see one of those tickets that has multiple check-ins available. So let's see if there were any that we can pass. Here's one. Oops. 3. So this one right here should be a multi check-in. So you'll see I have 3 weekend passes available here. And it says I've used 0 and there are 3 left. So I will just check in one of those. And you'll see that, let me bring it up again. You'll see now that this first instance here has 1 used and 2 left. So I could check it in 2 more times. And then at that point, after I do it another time after this, it will sync down into the checked in tickets area. So it's still available. Now I check it in the final time. And you'll see that checked in tickets, it's now contained in this checked in tickets area. And it'll say at the top here that 1 has been redeemed completely and 3 have been purchased. So Katie still has 2 out there, but 1 has been completely used up. All right, and that's what I wanted to show for the demonstration of the different preset configuration options. So let's talk about using point of sale next. So before we get into this, one thing to keep in mind is that using point of sale with Square is nice, but it is a bottleneck on site. No matter how nice of an experience we make it, it is a bottleneck. If you can get people to purchase on their own devices on site, you're going to get through things a lot faster. So we definitely recommend that you print out QR codes of your purchases link, and this allows users to just scan this QR code, and it'll bring them right to the TicketSignup purchase page, and they can process the purchase on their own device with their credit card that they probably already have stored on their phone or whatever, and it'll make things a lot easier. So currently, we don't charge anything for point of sale, just Square fees. There's no partner revenue share on point of sale transactions at this point. It's even easier for phones to purchase if they have Apple Pay. It's really fast. No worries about lines. Yeah, just go to promotions and links to access these QR codes. You can print out on a nice poster like they've done for Scaregrounds here. Okay, so let's talk about using point of sale on your device if you want to set up a station to do that. First, you have to make sure that you have set up Square on your event dashboard. So I did that before. Again, remember on the ticket dashboard, search for Square, enable that toggle to have a Square made available for this event, and then determine which business it's using. And then when you authenticate, when you log into the event, make sure that you check this box to allow the device to make purchases. And then you can go ahead and click the Purchase tab to get started with your setup. So it'll give you this message, which you saw earlier. If it's the first time on this device, you'll need to authorize it for Square use. Alternatively, you can use a continue option here. That will allow you to collect payment details on this device manually. Now, you can collect payment details manually in the Square process as well. So it's not an either or. If you authorize with Square, you can use the Square device, and then there'll be an option in the Square interface where you can say, actually, for this one sale, I do need to type it in for whatever reason. The card's not working, who knows? So we're going to go ahead and authorize Square. When I tap this button, you might get an error message about it not being available for your event. Go back to your dashboard, make sure that Square is enabled and that business is selected. So when you click that, you'll go into here and you'll see Authorize Square. So just go ahead and tap Authorize Square. This is just showing you where you would make sure to check that everything is working right. And when you get into the Square device authorization, there's a few things you have to make sure you do. You have to make sure that you give any services it requires permissions. So I need to, on this case, I didn't give it location services, I didn't give it phone access. It needs these things in order to connect to my reader. So just go through and make sure that each of these you've granted access to as requested by your device. Next, it's going to give you a little dialog that just has a big button that says connect a reader. This will walk you through the process of connecting the Square device. If you have one like this, you just hold the button and it will flash yellow or orange. Then you release the button and it will connect to your phone or your tablet or whatever you're using. So let's do a quick run through of what that looks like. So I'm going to authorize Square. I need to go back to my event settings here, click Authorize Square. And I've already connected a reader, so it's already doing it for me. I'm going to go ahead and forget this reader so that I can show it to you again. Yeah. Square reader. Okay, so this is what it looks like when you just come into it. I'm going to go ahead and connect a reader, and it's going to tell me, press and hold the button on my reader. There's a little button in the back here. It's going to hold that until it goes orange, and then it will pair. Now you may, again, end up with some messages here. I'm going to say pair and connect. I'm going to allow access, pair. Takes a minute. Sometimes it has to update. Yeah, it's checking for a reader update. Okay, now we got to this point, and I've gone through all of these things here. If it says ready, this is my readers, and there's Square Reader 3998. It's ready. We are good to go. We're ready to start doing sales. So if you wanted to, you can go into here and you can name this reader. So you might put some tape on it and name this reader 1. Whatever you want to do, you can customize there. So I'm all ready to go, so I can just X out. And we are now ready. So if I ever need to re-enter, I could come back into Square Reader here, but I don't need to do that. So now if I go into the Purchase tab, you can see that I have available to me this interface that looks pretty similar. If you're used to using TicketSignup, I can purchase a Friday ticket. And here I can decide if I want to buy a small blue shirt. I can continue. And whenever I'm ready, I can actually come in and agree to the terms and pay now with Square. So this will bring up the Square interface, and if I hit charge, it'll actually, do the purchase for me, and I can tap my card to the reader. I'm not going to charge $4, but it works pretty easily as you get going. So if I wanted to, you can also, like I said, collect payments manually for Square in a similar way here. Oops. No, I can't get into it now. But so I could just do whatever I want. If I needed to do a new purchase at the top here, I can just select new purchase. If you wanted to do a store item purchase, a standalone store item purchase, you can use the tabs at the top to process just store items and so on and so forth.
And just a point here about tenders, you can also collect cash. So it does support a cash entry. And again, this is all about bring your own Square account, get the hardware, and you've got an app all ready to handle on-site purchases. And you can do all types of tender that they support.
Yep. So I believe that was everything that I wanted to cover today on going through the app and setting up Square. Were there any questions that came up as I was going through these?
No, we're looking really good, Matt. The only other thing I want to mention, again, especially for our timers that are coming from the endurance world, a key thing to think about here is that you're selling things, and think about the fact that sometimes the things you're selling could actually be used more than once. And so we're in races, we're just checking in one thing at a time. With tickets, you can actually sell things that have multiple usages. We call them multi-check-in or perpetual check-in. So think about use cases where you may have a series or a track field thing that goes across the whole season, and you just want to set up one event and sell tickets that maybe can be used 5 times. And so you're selling one thing, so we call it like multi-check-in. That's a new feature that came out over the summer. Lots of use cases for usage-based check-in that could be more than just single items.
Yeah, definitely. So like James said, keep in mind this is a really flexible tool that you can use to do all sorts of on-site sales that are affiliated with an event or separate from an event. If you're already a Square customer, it's dead simple to set up and use. So highly recommend it if you're looking for another source of revenue. It's a fairly easy add-on, I think, if you're used to using our services anyway. So I think that's everything for today. I want to thank Allison and Brian for doing the intro. Even I learned a bit about how to use TicketSignup on that, so I'm sure you did as well. We'll be talking to you soon. And again, this video will be out and recorded on our YouTube channel. Be sure to check it out. It should be available in another couple of days. We'll include this presentation if you want to walk through all the slides. Thanks again, and we'll talk to you soon. Bye.
Oh, you don't think I'll do it? Look, it's dialing, okay? So how about that? Hi, Bob? Yeah, I'm trying to do this thing with Brian, but he's just goofing off. He's got a mask on now, and okay, now the audience is here. Sorry, I have to. Hi, thank you all for watching that video. You caught us at kind of a weird time. I apologize for the immaturity that's happening on this side of the room, but appreciate having you here. Please subscribe to the channel. If you'd like to see future videos, you can click the notification bell and all. That'll get you alerts when we post new stuff. And if you enjoyed what you saw here today, please click that thumbs up button, though if you don't, because of Brian's antics right now, completely understandable. We'll try to get this cleared up for next time. Yeah, I can't work like this, Bob.